All right, so welcome back. We're now going to take a look at putting everything we've learned together about expressions and algebraic manipulation into how we can use a little bit more reasoning and a little bit less procedure and algorithms to solve equations. So what we're going to focus on for equations in general is the fact that we really have a balance. And the left side should be equal to the right side, and that is what this equals symbol means. It doesn't mean solve for. It doesn't mean anything other than the fact that the value on the left needs to be the same as the value on the right. So the way that I look at it is this balance, and the kids will have had some experience with balancing things. We can look at 382. 382 is a collection of 382 items versus 380 items here. So we can actually figure out and take apart or disassemble or ungroup some of these items and see if we can balance things off and figure out what else is being balanced, right? So if we have this 382 on the left and 380 on the right, we know that 380 of those are balanced off. So we know that in order for the whole thing to balance, the 2 from those and the 49 have to balance off with the x. Right? So notice I'm not thinking about it as subtracting 380 from both sides. I'm thinking about it as a balance. What's balanced, and therefore what else has to be balanced? So x must be 51. So let's look at number 2. These two things need to be balanced. And what do we have on the left? Let's make sense of it. We have 7 groups of x plus 5. And on the right, we have 7 groups of 38. Well, if 7 groups of something that we don't know is balanced with 7 groups of 38, then that thing we don't know needs to be 38. These two need to balance as well, right? Because if you have 7 groups of something equals 7 groups of something else that balances, those will balance as well. And that's the only way that the balance can be working. So then if we have x plus 5, what plus 5 is 38? Well, x is 33. Right? So notice I'm not looking at any kind of algorithm for this, because one thing that we absolutely need to determine to develop with children early on is their reasoning, their sense making of equations. The procedures and the simplification and making things more efficient, that'll come. But early on in elementary school, kids need to understand the sense making, the reasoning behind those equations, and what the equations actually mean. If they don't have that understanding, then there's nothing we can do with building procedures on top of that. We'd be building a house on top of a very, very, very shaky ground. So I'm going to leave 23 for you to work on, but 24 we'll do together. So if we have 23 groups of x minus 36 is equal to 46, let me think about this. I wonder what I know about 46. Well, 46 is actually 23 groups of 2, right? So if 23 groups of x minus 36 equals 23 groups of 2, then one group of x minus 36 better equal one group of 2, right? So then we can say, well, what minus 36 is 2? Well, x is 38. Okay, and we're also going to do 5 together, reason through 5. And I'll leave the other ones for you to think about. So 23 groups of 36 plus something is equal to 24 groups of 36. Wow. So here's our balance, here's our fulcrum. 23 groups of 36 plus something is 24 groups of 36. Well, wouldn't that something be that extra group of 36? Right? Wouldn't that something have to be that extra group of 36? Just imagine the kind of algorithm that you would go through in order to figure this equation, to solve this equation, if you weren't just making sense of it. Now let's look at number 7. Again, looks pretty ugly, right, if we were to follow all the rules. But if we just think about it, then we have 5/16 plus 2/3 equals 2x plus 5/16. Oh, interesting. Well, we're adding 5/16. 5/16 is part of both of the sides. So which means that 2/3 is 2x. Because then that's the only thing that's different on the two sides. So if 2/3 is 2x, 2 times what is 2/3? Well, x is 1/3. I'm going to leave 8 and 9 for you to think about. Number 10, if we have 4 groups of x minus 19 equals 8, well, I wonder if we can make sense of this. 8 is 4 groups of 2, right? So 4 groups of x minus 19 is the same as 4 groups of 2. Then x minus 19, it better be 2. So 1 minus 19 is 2. 21. Do you see how looking at these problems, at these equations, and I hope you take your time to do the other 4, but looking at these equations, you get a sense that you can, and you should, and children must, use their reasoning to solve equations way before we have them experience the rules and the algorithms. Yeah, the rules and the algorithms are fine, and they are important to make things more efficient, but it is not something that children should be starting with.